Hi, guys. Hope you're having a great day. This is Fred and Sheila with Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures and FS Investigates.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. It's going to be another video on Johnny Edrington for those of you that's interested in following this case. I hope you follow us all the way to the end on it, because we plan on solving, with the help of a lot of people, the Johnny Edrington murder case. We plan on finding out who killed him.
Right.
Bringing them to justice. That's our plans. And if it's the Lord's will.
There you go.
We're going to follow him. He's going to guide us. And, guys, we've done proved one thing. We're going to prove that today.
Okay.
If you stick with us on this video, we're going to prove something to you. We're going to prove to you that in Doug Asher's book, he says the evidence is overwhelming that it was a S side. Overwhelming. We're going to show you the evidence. And at the end of the video, you tell us overwhelming. We're going to show you at the end one sentence of one paragraph at the main end of a report. See if that convinces you that it's overwhelming evidence of a S side. Now, we're going to start out slow because there's going to be some stuff we can't go over.
Right.
Some stuff we don't want to go over. That's why the state police, one of the reasons they haven't opened the file. You don't want to let something out, because if somebody says, oh, I did it, and they say, how'd you do it? Or where was this? Or where was that? Then it would be something that they only know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to go over everything, naturally. But see, that's the thing. The state police also at the same time could release certain parts of information. They could release where we've been told wrong about this missing shirt. Because you're going to hear in a minute where this missing shirt is supposed to be. We don't think it's there, but we won't know that until the state police in Frankfurt shows that shirt and proves that it is in evidence. But for right now, and that last video we did, we got a lot of comments. A lot of comments from people, some of them family members of people, rightly so. Everybody takes up for their family. Everybody takes up for their loved ones. That's admirable. What got Sheila and I is, from the beginning, we've taken a stand. We said we don't have a political preference. We're not getting, Sheila says we don't have a dog in that fight. And we don't. That's why we quit. Some people says, why don't you cover Doug Harless no more? Why don't you show up at rallies? Well, we did. We were at 2 of your rallies. We're the ones going up down the road blowing our horn.
We were there, yeah.
And we were there. We did videos on it. We were there until the politics consumed it, till it looked like it was just all politics, and it was just who's going to run for this office or that office. That's not what Doug Harless's death was about. This man, from what we can tell, was an innocent person that got killed through sloppy police work. Now, we asked Lieutenant Colonel Doug Asher, Detective Johnny Phelps, Trooper Jimmy Phelps, to provide us, through their knowledge, through their memory, of things that happened in the Johnny Edrington case, and so we could put it out there and let people help solve this. Did you see something?
Anybody else that was working on that case could contact us?
Of course. Oh, there's a detective right here that's signed his name to this report, and we didn't hear back from none of them. It's funny that you can write a book, you can get on Facebook, you can do all these things, but you can't help somebody that's legitimately trying to solve a case that's 36 years old, that a man that's been slandered and his death's been ruled a homicide, and other people want to say it was a S-side and slander the name. We're going to prove to you today how fair Sheila and I are, and we've said it from the beginning. If we just give us some knowledge, give us something to go by, we can investigate. We can look at it for ourselves and come up with our own thing. You know, there's always been a rumor. There's always been a rumor. In fact, I want to go back to that page. That's the first thing I meant to cover on this.
Okay.
There's always been a rumor that this Johnny Edrington's death may have been contributed to somebody else that may have worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
That was a rumor. It's been a rumor. We've asked for people to help us clear up that rumor. If it's a rumor, help us clear it up. Now, you'll see some comments on one of our videos. They say, oh, they tried to contact you. Guys, you can type in there anything people wants to. Sheila and I, the good Lord is guiding us on this. It may not go anywhere. This may be where it's at. But we're going to show you that it wasn't an S-side. Now, the second thing we'd like to show you is who did it. Who killed this man. But we're going to show you that it wasn't an S-side. And we're going to show you as of right now that those rumors that you've been hearing for all these years about Jimmy Phelps, Johnny Phelps, and others, as of right now, from what Sheila and I can find out and have researched, is nothing but rumors. Nothing but rumors. Rumors are vicious. Rumors are, they can be vicious, especially to police officers. You know, these guys served a lot of years in the state police. I'm not saying they're angels. I'm saying they served. And I'm saying as of right now, there's not a shred of evidence. There's evidence of sloppy police work, sloppy detective investigation, sloppy, and you're going to see it. You're going to hear it. Mm-hmm. So this may be a lengthy video, but those of you that like CSI and stuff may enjoy it. It may be enlightening to you. And it also may trigger something, a thought. There's a difference in being a butthole. I would once upon a time use a different word, but a butthole. It's not a crime to be a butthole. Take her collar off there so she won't jingle around.
Okay, I got it.
It's not against the law to be a butthole. It's not against the law for people not to like you. That doesn't make you a suspect in a homicide. Now, you're going to see probably why Jimmy and Johnny Phelps have been brought to the forefront over the years on this case. One of them is they were troopers. Second one is it sounds like during their career they was aggressive. They were what I would say probably done their job. They may not have had the best personality or attitude over it, but some of us is like that. Doesn't make us criminals. Doesn't make us murderers or murder suspects. You do that through rumors. The reason their names have been brought up so much over the years probably is because you're going to hear those guys were right at the forefront of the Johnny Edrington investigation. No wonder their names are out there. They were involved from 20 minutes. They found Johnny Edrington at 2:40 in the morning, and at 3 o'clock, Sheila?
Mm-hmm. At 3.
Was it Jimmy or Johnny?
I want to say Johnny.
Johnny was on the spot.
I want to say it was him.
We'll cover it. We'll come up to it. Within 20 minutes, Jimmy or Johnny 1 was there. 1181 and 1182. That was their unit numbers. Johnny Edrington's unit number, as we go through here, is 365. Johnny's is easy to remember. 365 days in the year. That's how I've done through life. Post office boxes, addresses, zip codes, phone numbers. You try to just think of, well, this person's unit number is this person's unit number. And if you was a police officer, you could put 2 or 3 unit numbers together and you could remember what somebody's. Johnny's was 365. Back to Johnny Edrington was 365. Now, guys, brings up a good point right there. Johnny Edrington, Johnny
Phelps. There's 2 Johnnies.
Exactly. There's 2 Johnnies. And there's been a rumor, and listen, we could still be wrong on certain things. As of right now, somebody had several people had told us that there was a scuffle at Post 11 between Johnny and Jimmy at Post 11. Now, we asked about that. We haven't found no proof either way, no proof. But we did find proof that Johnny Phelps and a deputy sheriff, Doug Asher, Jimmy Phelps, had a disagreement. I don't know if it was a scuffle. According to the report, it was February the 19th of 1993, 9:00 in the morning. Deputy Sheriff Butcher?
Yeah. Bill Butcher?
Bill Butcher.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a disagreement. I'm not going to go into that because that just starts more rumors, reactivates things. It's part of life. They had a issue there. They all had a big to-do, and there's like a 4-page report on it that Doug Asher filled out. It's his words. I don't put much stock in Mr. Asher's words. I just don't. From reading his chapter of the book, Big Gray Cover Up, and him waiting 35 years to cover it, I just don't have a lot on that.
Okay.
Now, let's just go with this. Let's go with the offense report. So there was a disagreement at Post 11 at one time between police officers.
Okay.
Johnny was there. Jimmy was there. Johnny Edrington wasn't there, but there was a Johnny, and that could be where the confusion. I'm just throwing that out there because we could be wrong on that. There may very well be another scuffle that we may find out about later on. As of right now, we don't have that.
Okay.
Now there is an offense report, case number 1188, 1824. 1188. 1824. If you go to page 211 of the Big Gray Cover Up of Doug Asher's book, and you look somewhere over in here,
Can you find it?
yeah, I think it's right there at the bottom paragraph, right down toward the bottom, you'll see them numbers.
On your side.
And Doug Asher has in his book 1188, 1844. Not 1824, 1844. Now, could be a typo.
Yeah.
Could be 2 cases. Maybe there's another case out there. But the one this pertains to, according to this, is 1188, 1824. Did Doug give the wrong case number for somebody in case they wanted to go look up a case? I don't know. Anything's possible. Again, Doug Asher is the man that claims 35 years later that one of his troopers that worked for him offed himself, and it was ruled a homicide when it was asside, so they could get insurance. Well, guys, again, in the state of Kentucky, there's no time of limitations on felonies. No time of limitations. Insurance fraud is felony, especially in that sum of money. So if people covered up a suicide by calling it a homicide so they could collect insurance money, and they were part of it, and they didn't speak out. They didn't go to the media. They didn't go to the FBI. They didn't go to the Attorney General's office. There's no record where they tried their darndest to get something done, not just speaking up saying, I won't be to do that. She's already nailed me, guys. Then it's insurance fraud. Now, the title of this investigation on this offense report, murder. Capital offense. KRS 507020. Google it. 507020. Homicide. And it was reported by Earl Beatty, trooper, unit number 458, at 2:40 in the morning. 2:40 in the morning. You're going to find some of this interesting as we go along, how this happened. And it says the call was received at 0240. He was dispatched at 2:40. He arrived. This is the officer doing this offense report. He arrived at 3:30. So this officer here had he must not have lived in Lowell County at the time.
Yeah.
Because he's traveling from a different county, it looks like. And it says the scene was cleared at 5:10. 5:10 in the morning, the scene was clear. It was a day of the week, was a Tuesday, 12/20 of 88. Weather was cloudy and turned into rain. And it rained and rained and rained. Mm-hmm. Johnny's date of birth, Sheila and I found interesting, was 9/7/54. Mm-hmm. September the 7th. Is that a coincidence? Remember how God helped us find Joseph Couch? September the 7th of 24. Mm-hmm. It's when Joseph Couch opened fire on I-75. September the 7th of 24. Johnny happened to be born on September the 7th, 54. Says, was he under the influence of drugs or alcohol? No. You're going to see the autopsy report says the same thing. Officer making report, Lieutenant William Stewart, badge number, unit number 84. Date 12/21/88. Time spent on this case 20 plus hours, no doubt. Reviewed by WRS, initials. You know, in police work, somebody overlooks your case, your accident reports, so forth like that. I don't know who WRS is, but WR is very, very well could have been William Stewart. Now, he just threw his middle initial in there. I don't know, but it's what it looks like. So he's reviewed his own file, but we'll give it that. Contrary to rumors, so far, we find no connection to another officer. We don't. No. You're going to hear who we're leaning towards, what we're leaning towards. Mm-hmm. But on this case here, this is mostly just to prove that it definitely wasn't an S side. Lots of rumors so far, and so far they're just rumors. We don't go do an investigation by rumors. We investigate by facts and where the evidence leads us, and the good Lord. We did find evidence of possible shoving match altercation at post 11, mm-hmm. dealing with Asher, the Phelps twins, Lowell County Deputy Sheriff at the time. And that may be where Johnny's name came in. Maybe they're talking about Johnny Phelps mm-hmm. at the sheriff's at the post 11 having a shoving match, and people just thought that was Johnny Edrington. May turn out, if they had one shoving match, I always say a person's past often predicts their future, and so if they had one, they could have had two, they could have had five. It seems like from the research that we've done during the time of Asher's command over post 11, it was in shambles. It was wow. I feel you. But, the truth's the truth. My opinion, mm-hmm. from what we've looked at, and the problems that they were having at this post during the time that Asher was there,
Mhm.
he wasn't much of a leader, in my opinion. In fact, some things are left better unsaid.
Exactly. Good job.
Unit 365, Edrington was at post at 2300 to 2305. That's 11 o'clock. 2300 is military time for 11 o'clock. So from 11 o'clock to 1105, he was at post 11 talking to the dispatcher.
Okay.
2315, he was seen by a London PD officer patrolling. The London PD officer saw him heading east on 80. Now, this is at 11 o'clock, 11:15 at night. Was seen approximately 23:15 to 23:30 with a vehicle approximately 5 miles west of London on 80, westbound. He was seen on the side of the road with a violator, pulled over, westbound. He's coming from London. He's facing Somerset, Pulaski County. They're pulled over on the side of the road, and he's with a violator. Somebody saw him there between 11:15 and 11:30. Note, trooper working his shift. Normal shift so far. This was a Kentucky State Trooper working his shift, just a normal shift. He's out making traffic stops. He's doing all the things that you normally do.
Yeah.
And we've commented on it before. Johnny's got to be one of a kind for a man to go to off himself and works his whole shift. You talk about dedicated. Worked his whole shift. He waited till it was time for him to get off work before he done it. So he went short the company. Didn't happen. This was a homicide. You'll see. Babe, you join in anytime if I leave something out or.
Alrighty.
But I think we've made some notes here together, and I think we went down pretty much in order.
Okay.
Trooper working his shift. Trooper stopped, and he stopped this car, this person.
Okay.
And he gave this guy a verbal warning. The guy says that was real nice to him. In fact, some of the family member met him later on, years later, and talked about meeting Johnny that night, and that was the last person, or next to the last person, that he ever stopped. Gets interesting here. Trooper had a car pulled over facing east. Trooper got in cruiser, U-turn, heading west behind. After he pulled this person over that was heading west, he went on up the road. He's got run the radar. He's got after somebody else, and he pulls them over, heading eastbound toward London. In the right-hand lane going toward London. Somebody passes by, and he sees them. He sees a trooper with this car pulled over. Trooper's getting back in his car. He's facing toward London. He's facing eastbound. The truck is going westbound toward Pulaski County.
Okay.
The trooper whips a U-turn and follows in behind the truck. He follows the truck down the road toward Pulaski County on 80 for a while. He's running radar. Reason the trucker knew that he was running radar because his detector was going off. Boom, on and off. Boom, on and off. Why would a police officer's radar, or why would a person's radar detector go off? Well, if there's a police officer around and there's a radar unit. But see, back in the old days, and I don't know how it is today, they got so much advanced technology today, who knows? But back in them days, a police officer would keep their radar unit off. And especially if we was driving behind a tractor trailer, we'd drive to the right of a tractor trailer so they couldn't see another vehicle. And here comes this car zooming by. Boom. You flip your radar on. You've got them. You're locked in. It locks his speed in. It don't just show up and then disappears. Whatever the highest speed he reached is locked in. So you've got them. You turn and go on them. And this truck driver knew that his radar was kicking on and off. So he's running radar. Every time a car come by, he would flip his radar on, flip it back off. That way the other cars way up the road, their radar detectors won't go off. That's what you do back then.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You got something?
No, it's good. That way they can't detect it until it's too late.
Oh, yeah. It just went off on that one car.
Right.
His radar detector went off. As soon as you flipped it on, it went off, but it's too late because he's locked in.
You. Yeah.
Yeah, he done got you. And this fella says that the trooper had a car pulled over facing east. Trooper got into his cruiser, made a U-turn, and headed west behind the truck. He was checking radar as traffic approached because his detector was going off. Eventually, the trooper, Johnny Edrington, passed the truck driver and goes on like he's going toward Pulaski County line. He gets in front of the truck driver. After he gets in front of the truck driver, the witness noticed a vehicle. A vehicle.
There you go.
Approaching. He noticed we've mentioned this in one of our first videos before, just from what witnesses had told us.
Right.
From what we found out. That's why we wanted this case opened. In one of our first videos, we made a comment that over the hill in White Oak somewhere, there's supposed to be a truck. We've been told it was light colored, it was blue, it was red, but there's supposed to be a truck. By now, 36 years later, it's probably rust.
Yeah.
But there was a truck traveling toward London out of Pulaski County. Now, remember, Johnny had passed this tractor trailer. Now, he's in front of this tractor trailer. There goes this speeding truck. This truck driver says that he appeared to be going at least 70 miles an hour. Well, he was, because Johnny's radar unit was locked in on 78. Johnny pulls over into the emergency lane because the tractor trailer is behind him. He don't want to slow him down or cause him to wreck. So, like a good officer, he gets over the emergency lane. The tractor trailer goes on by. Johnny whips a U-turn, takes off after the speeding truck coming from Pulaski County. Heading east after a speeding truck, 70 miles an hour. Trooper pulled off into the shoulder, let the trucker pass, then continue to do a U-turn and go after the truck. Truck driver says the trooper punched it. You could hear him taking off after he went by. He was getting on it. Gave it the gas, accelerated. And that would be consistent with where Edrington was killed. That would be consistent where he pulled this truck over at. By the time he turned around, U-turn, and caught up to him and hit his lights, that's where Johnny Edrington was found laying on the side of the road. A truck fitting the description of the one Johnny had turned on was reported stolen on 12/21 of 88 to the Somerset Police Department. Now, see, in police work, a lot of times a vehicle that gets stolen was done after somebody had been involved in a hit and run. They had been DUI. They had outrun the police. They had done something. As soon as they get home, I just noticed my vehicle's been stolen. It's gone. Because they're trying to cover their tracks if they're involved in something. This vehicle didn't belong to somebody. This vehicle actually was stolen from a car dealership. So more than likely, it was just really stolen. To this day, as far as we know, the vehicle has never been found. Yep. Unless that's the truck. For all you people up there in London, Lowell County, near White Oak Road, we were told that truck is over the hill somewhere on White Oak Road, where it's called Insurance Curve or Insurance Hill, or something way down over a hill that you have to rappel down to see it. If you ever get down there, get a VIN number and give it some credible, if you can find one, a credible law enforcement officer. I hope they're still out there. I feel you. And they are. I agree, babe. I agree. They're just getting fewer and fewer. Hard to find. And let somebody run that VIN number and let's see if that's the vehicle that was stolen on that night. Because if it's the vehicle that was stolen on that night, it's real interesting. This is what Sheila and I call a clue. Guys, this is what Sheila and I go on. We investigate what good investigators do. I'm not saying we're smart. I'm not saying we're this and that. We didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn last night. But I can tell you something. When somebody's trying to help you, when somebody's trying to solve a case, and that's their goal, is to solve the case, not to insult this person, that person, or this person.
Blame this person or that person.
Blame this person. We don't want to get in the blame game. We don't want to get in the political game.
Right.
But when somebody's trying to help them. Now, I want to put this out there because I'm hurt, because had other people gave us this information a month or two ago, we could have saved a lot of legwork, a lot of this and that, a lot of rumors. We could have saved arguments between people that I don't even know. Right. He doesn't know me, but we certainly spoke ill about each other, along with some family members of theirs that spoke ill about us, and they don't know us. We're trying to find who murdered Johnny Edrington. We're trying to prove that Johnny Edrington didn't off himself, as his name has been slandered to have done, even though there's a death certificate. Let's go on. And that could have helped. That could have helped Sheila and I get to where we're at now and killed this rumor, or at least dampen it. We don't know. We wasn't there, but from everything that looks to us, this right here in this stolen vehicle appears to be, with what the truck driver says, with what this is who I would be trying to find, is who stole this vehicle and was entering Laurel County, and a troopers pulled him over. Now, we've said, was it somebody he knew? Still could have been somebody he knew.
Yeah.
Very possible. And we were told at one time, when we first heard this story, that it was somebody he knew. And that's why they either got out of the truck real fast. He didn't have time to put his hat on, didn't have time to call in. Because you're going to hear here in a minute, because we've also said that was a dead spot. Somebody told us that was a dead spot for the state police. I know in Pike County, we only had certain spots where we could get out on our radio. That's before you had technology and satellites and all these different. But that wasn't a dead spot, and you're going to see why here in a minute. We're going to show you that. So he just got out of his car so fast, he didn't put his hat on. He didn't call in. That's what Sheila and I call a clue. A witness, stolen vehicle, and direction of travel. You've got a witness. You've got a stolen vehicle. And you've got Johnny just turned on that stolen vehicle, or one like it. And he's heading toward London behind it. Did Johnny turn citations in? Now, here's a question we talked about. Did Johnny turn his citations in when he was at post at 2300? Did he turn any written warnings, any citations? Because when they find his car, you'll see here in a minute where they went through and looked through his car trying to find any clues of anybody he'd wrote a ticket to, anybody license plate number he'd wrote down. You know, as a police officer, you keep a piece of paper handy there always. And you always, if you see something suspicious, you just jot the tag number down. That's it. May never come up. During that shift, nobody ever calls in, but you're thinking that was suspicious. Where was he going? It's not, you don't have the probable cause to pull the person over and question them and ID them. So you just think, well,
just get their tag just in case.
I wonder if he was up to something. So you'll just jot while you're driving down the road. You scribble because you can't see, but you put that tag number down. He didn't have nothing in his vehicle. No citations. Did Johnny turn them in when he was there? Did he write tickets or write written warnings during that shift? Did a state trooper go the entire shift without writing a ticket or a written warning? Possible. Yeah. With Johnny, with the personality that everybody that's knew him or talked to him or worked with him, with Johnny's personality, it's very possible that Johnny never wrote the first ticket.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to believe because the state police want their officers to write tickets. That's how they get their revenue. That's how they get the big new cars, the good equipment. That's what they do. There was no tickets or warnings in his vehicle. At 2330, trucker sees Johnny turn on a truck. At 2340, witnesses, 2, see cruiser lights on, sitting on the shoulder, heading east toward London, no one around, and no other vehicle. These times are estimated. It could have been 5 minutes, could have been 7, could have been 10. Nobody looking at their watches, but that's the estimate. The trucker seen Johnny turn on that truck, speeding truck, at 23:30, at 11:30. At 11:40, 10 minutes later, 2 people go by in a car and they notice the blue lights are on. A car cruiser sitting there. They don't see nobody in the car. They don't see nobody around, but they go on down the road. Goodness sakes, anymore, if you stop, cop will beat you up. It's not like it. That's what police officers don't realize now. They're mistreating people and being rude to people, and it may be the very people that could help them or save their life or come to their aid. You want to say something? 2 witnesses, lights on, sitting on the shoulder. At 1 o'clock in the morning. Now remember, Johnny Edrington, Kentucky State Trooper, U.S. Army veteran, Johnny Edrington got off work at 12 o'clock midnight. He'd went and ate with his wife and her family earlier. Said, I'll see you at midnight.
Right.
He worked his whole shift, getting ready to go home. He stops his last vehicle of the night. Supposed to get off at 12 o'clock.
Right.
At 1 o'clock in the morning, this is on the next day, dispatcher notices Johnny's been missing or he's dead for over an hour before dispatcher noticed that he was still 10-8. His time card was still in the 10-8 slot. No midnight check. He never went 10-7. Do you understand that somebody else called in on the radio and they said so-and-so will be 10-10 in the unit subject to call or whatever. Dispatcher says 10-4. So he's going to put that back here on the card on this trooper here that called in. And when he looks back there, he sees this time card or the way they check in. Johnny Edrington's 10-8. Shucks, where's Johnny Edrington? 365, 365, 365. No answer. No answer. You don't need that on, do you?
No, I don't.
Can we switch over to the
So good.
unit 458, Earl Beatty? Dispatch puts out a all points bulletin. Attempt to locate. ATL. Attempt to locate. We have a trooper not reporting in. Anybody who sees a trooper, anybody seen 365? Unit 458, Earl Beatty, finds Johnny dead on the side of the road. Checks Johnny, goes back and gets in his car and waits for the cavalry. And the cavalry comes. Cavalry's called out, but they're too late. 1181, Jimmy Phelps. 1182, Johnny Phelps. 84, Stewart.
William
Stewart. Thank you, babe. Larry Lewis. 525. Everyone is responding. Entire list of those who were there at some time between 2:40 and that morning. Unit 199. Unit 1107. Unit 698. Unit 107. Unit 472, Unit 656, Unit 528, Unit 108, Unit 96. That was a brother trooper that was dead on the side of the road, so they're coming out of the woodwork. Later on, you'll hear where the unit numbers, you'll hear all the way down to Unit 5 or Unit 6. The lower the unit numbers go in state police, the higher the rank. Unit 1 is the colonel, the commissioner. Unit 6 at that time, or Unit 5, was Jerry Lovett. So this Unit 96, the 3-digit numbers are usually sergeants, and the 2-digit numbers, lieutenants, and so forth like that.
Okay.
Captains. Overwhelming evidence of a S side. Read from phone. Read from phone. Overwhelming evidence of a S-side, Mr. Asher says in his book. I'm not going, I got to watch this. I don't want to put all this out, but
Exactly.
Moderate, steady rain began to fall. The scene had already been marked off by crime scene ribbon and the use of 2 state police cruisers blocked off the area, as well as units from other departments. Standing near the scene, I could see Trooper Edrington's cruiser inside the scene. When walked up, Trooper Edrington. See, guys, I'm not going to go over a lot of this stuff because if I do, I may give something out that we don't want to.
Exactly.
So we don't want to do that. We don't want to hinder the case neither. But there's certain things that people can give out to let other people know that can help solve this case. The engine was running. I noticed the following items at the scene of his car number 0498, 1987 Ford Crown Vic. The engine was running. The headlights were on. They were in the dim position. Spotlight was on, pointing straight ahead. The blue light was on, and the takedown light was on. Spotlight and takedown lights is 2 things that, if it's a motorist assist, if it's something like that, you wouldn't spotlight them. You wouldn't blind them. You use the spotlight and the takedown lights when you're on a traffic stop.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. In case there's people out there that doesn't know what
takedown lights are the 2 lights that was. He probably had a set of Street Hawks on from Gauls, and they come out with this thing years ago. Had 2 lights right in the middle of the. Sometimes they would oscillate. You could flip them over and make them for emergencies, but when they were on just takedown, they were just shining straight ahead. 2 big bright lights. They would lined up right directly with the rear view mirror of the car in front of you.
Oh, okay.
And that blinded them. Okay. And you put your spotlight on their side view mirror, and that blinded them.
Okay.
Called a curtain of light.
Yep. I've heard you talk about
the
that.
radar showed a patrol speed of 48 and a target speed of 78. Patrol speed. When your radar locks in on another vehicle, it shows your speed, and it shows what they were doing. So the patrol speed was Johnny. Johnny was going 48 miles an hour when that vehicle came by him at 78, and it froze it. It locked it in. His hat was on his metal ticket book holder on the passenger side of the front seat. His armrest was down. The radio microphone and PA system microphone were both in their holders.
Okay.
The handheld portable radio was inside the charger. You know, we talked earlier about having relay back and forth on your radio. We said, well, that was a dead spot. Over the year, okay. Over the years, we thought it was a dead spot in that area. You okay?
Something just happened. I don't know what it was.
And Sheila years ago had a
Gorder.
What's it called? They took your
they took
thyroid.
My thyroid gland.
They took her thyroid out, and she has problems every now and then. You probably already noticed that over the time, but so that's what happens. And
Sorry.
They took her thyroid out. They had her throat, big old cut. Was it cross? Yeah, there it is.
It is.
Goes crossways. And they had let her out of the hospital. We stopped somewhere to get McDonald's, somewhere to get something to eat, and somebody was in there, and they just kept staring. It made her uncomfortable, and I knew it did. And I finally looked around and I said, you ever act like that again, I'll cut your throat again. And buddy, that guy, he turned around and went the other way, didn't he? Sheila, I didn't like him. He made Sheila uncomfortable. But anyway, he thought I'd done cut Sheila's throat. This shows us that when we first seen the radio in the car, me and another officer was discussing it, and Sheila, she's always in the background, and I said, well, probably said, why didn't he have his radio? He got out too fast. He didn't even take his portable. And I said, well, from what we were told, there was no transmission down through there. You couldn't get out.
Mhm.
And so he wouldn't have had the reason. But see, back then you also had a relay in the back of your car, state police especially, that would, when they triggered their walkie, it would go through their radio car with the big whip antenna and you could get out. Well,
Mhm.
that's not neither one, because Sheila and I was reading this report about 3 o'clock this morning, and we're looking over it, and I think it was Sheila come up, Earl Beatty.
Mhm.
When Earl Beatty found Johnny Edrington, he got on the radio and he called Post and said, I found him.
No, I think it was you.
Here he is. Don't matter, either one of us. So if Earl Beatty's car got out, Johnny's car, his radio would have got out from that position.
Exactly.
So when Johnny pulled that car over, or that truck, he didn't have a chance to even call in the tag. He didn't have a chance to transmit. When the guy stopped, he got out, and he either knew the person and just didn't call it in, or something had already happened. They got the drop on him, and it can happen where they get the drop. I'm looking in at the outside of the patrol car. I noticed that the hood emblem was bent backwards towards the windshield. There was what appeared to be hand swap from the center of the hood towards the right side, approximately 1 foot from the front of the hood. 3 dents in the hood. I also noticed 3 dents in the hood, one on the left side and a left crease in the hood. There was what I noticed appeared to be latent prints on the left side of the hood. Overwhelming evidence of a S side. Are you guys getting any of that yet? Overwhelming evidence of a S side. First of all, the offense report itself says murder.
Mm-hmm.
Capital offense. You know what? Brings us to a point that may be in here. That report was signed by William Stewart, detective.
Mm-hmm.
Asher says in his book that he met with those 3 detectives that morning, and all 3 of them unanimously agreed it was a S side. Well, one of those detectives that he names was Lieutenant William Stewart. Lieutenant William Stewart signed that offense report, and at the top he titled it with the crime of murder.
Mm-hmm.
Capital offense. And that's why I don't believe everything that Mr. Asher says. That one right there, I know what that's related to now.
Yeah.
That,
I agree.
Well, all right. Lieutenant Detective Lewis, badge number 525, and Johnny Phelps, 1182, to measure the scene. Lewis and Detective Phelps. See, guys, you're going to hear Detective Phelps in here a lot, and you're going to hear Jimmy Phelps in here a lot. The reason why is they're Kentucky State Troopers.
Right.
They are working this case. They are on the spot. Over the years, there's been we don't know these guys. We don't know them from Adam.
Nope.
Never met them.
Nope.
We did meet the mayor one time, and now we know where the guy, what was that guy's name that Jimmy mentioned the other day in that Facebook post? The other guy, he said Lonnie something.
Yeah, something.
Lonnie something
Owens.
is in that. Is in that report? Are you sure of that? Because I don't know the last name. I don't want to say somebody's
Owens,
name that's not
okay.
correct. But this Lonnie guy is actually in the report when they were serving an EPO on Jimmy Phelps at post 11. And that was what the issue was. And evidently that's why Jimmy Phelps and this Lonnie guy don't get along, and he thought we was connected. I don't know a Lonnie guy, but he is a former police officer, because his name was mentioned in that report that Asher filled out. But anyway, let's move on. So Johnny Phelps and Lewis are measuring the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Trooper Alan Lewis, Unit 698, is to list all the people on the scene. Whoever's on that scene, he's to make and that would be normal.
Yeah.
That would be, you would want to know who's in and out of the crime scene, And they did. We named most of the troopers a while ago. Troopers Jimmy Phelps, 1181. Sam Durham, unit number 656. Shane Mahan, 528. Start checking the side roads. They're looking up and down the side roads. What for? It's a S side. What are they looking up and down the side roads for? This is a S side, clear and simple. Unanimous. Asher says they're looking for ever who shot their fellow trooper. Is what they're looking for. That's not overwhelming evidence, guys. That's looking for a suspect that possibly had something to do with the death of the trooper. Check roads for what? If it's a suicide. Sergeant David Biggerstaff, Unit 146, request KSP's mobile lab. Now, this 146, no, it's a sergeant. Okay, I was going to say he's probably a lieutenant, but he's a sergeant.
Okay.
But he requested state police to send their mobile lab to the scene. Sergeant Biggerstaff also requested the dispatcher call and make an autopsy appointment. The fastest appointment, quickest appointment they could get. And the autopsy was scheduled for 10:30 that morning in Lexington. Now, Sheila and I says in a couple of our videos, because back when I was a police officer, a lot of autopsies were performed in Frankfort. That's where we would go. And I just assumed it was Frankfort. I assumed. I was mistaken. The bad thing is when you do that, it gets the word out. And you're hoping that if you are wrong, somebody will correct you and say, no, that autopsy took place in Lexington. You're wrong. Or this. Nobody done that. Nobody. They don't even want to. There's nothing wrong with giving away where an autopsy was performed. That was information that anybody could have put out. Everything we're putting out here right now is information that could have been put out. There's no secrets right here in what we're putting out. Now, there are some things in that report that only a person that was there would know, including the killer, hers. So that way, if somebody ever does, and they want to say, hey, yeah, I done it. Well, what about this or that? Oh, yeah, this. And then they tell you something that only you know.
Exactly.
You know you've got the right person. Lexington is the place. UK Medical Center is where the autopsy was performed. To scale drawing was done by Trooper Danny Trosper, Unit 1018. Instructed Johnny Phelps, 1182, to remove his weapon. Now, there's two people here that could be giving out these orders.
Okay.
I'm not going to mention either one.
Good. Yeah.
But there's two different people. I don't know which one it is, or
right.
We think we do, but we've assumed enough. Let's start
That's right.
with what the evidence takes us now. Instructed Detective Johnny Phelps, 1182, to remove the weapon. So Johnny Phelps took Johnny's Edrington's weapon from where it's at, and according to the reports, it was in his left hand.
Right.
Weapon had been diagrammed and photographed in its original position. Detective Johnny Phelps, 1182, removed the weapon, a Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum revolver, model 686. That was a big 357 they carried back then. The troopers did.
Okay.
Serial number AAF 3716. Where's that gun today?
Interesting.
Where's that gun today? Is that still in evidence? Did they put it back in service? Did they sell it at a state police auction? If they were going to sell it, would have been nice to let the family probably had it. I don't know.
Why would they do that if it's part of a?
Well, I don't know that they did.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Okay.
We're speculating. We're still a YouTube channel, guys.
Yeah.
Sheila and I don't profess to be.
No, Lord, no.
Kentucky State Police property number 27894-005. Weapon was checked by Detective Johnny Phelps, 1182, and Sergeant Dole Strodeal to determine number of rounds fired. Detective Johnny Phelps, 1182, reported 1 round had been fired. Again, guys, you hear Phelps through here a lot. Jimmy, Johnny, they're working the case. They're on the case. Rain was steadily increasing. No way to plaster cast the thread design. They had found a tire tracks. Thanks, babe. Found a tire track, and they were going to plaster cast it, but the rain started. Why would we plaster cast a tire track when somebody's off themselves? Why?
Good question.
Why would there be a tire track there where it has stirred up the gravel as they pulled out, even leaving a black mark when it hit the pavement? Over a S side? Overwhelming evidence. You see where I'm coming from. This family's been wronged 36 years later. Rain was steadily increasing. There was no way to plaster cast. Hand swap on the hood of the car. 3 dents on the hood. Appeared to be a latent print on the left side of the hood. Overwhelming. Why wasn't a tent set up? You know, guys, I talk about, and I'm sorry, I'm not perfect, and I'm sure
nobody's perfect.
I'm sure I can. People can point out different things, but that's why I say sloppy police work. Would it have been that hard to have called the funeral home and said, "Hey, can you bring us a tent up here and set up? We're going to be here for a while. It's starting to rain, and we got this man. You're going to hear in a minute where they almost flood his head. His head's laying down in a ditch, and it's raining, and the water's getting deep." Would it have been hard to? I would have put up a tent, I believe, if I'd been in charge. I feel you, babe. Evidence was lost due to the rain. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Evidence was lost due to the rain. Evidence of what? See, I love that. Because even though evidence was lost, it was called evidence.
Evidence.
Evidence of a S side. That should only be the gun in the wrong hand, him over our laying. Only thing you got that could even be construed as a S side would be that he's got a gun in his hand. He's laying there dead. Now his flashlight's way back here behind him, but on the wrong side. But so he would have had his gun and his flashlight together, trying to. I guess he had to hold the flashlight on his head to make sure he didn't miss. Overwhelming evidence, Lieutenant Colonel Doug Asher says, but he never puts. Let me rephrase that. I wish he would have put some of it in his book, because we're not finding it. Evidence was lost due to the rain. Tire impression had already dissolved when they got back with the mobile crime unit to do a plaster cast and all that. The rain had beat down the. Placed plastic bags over Edrington's left hand. Now, we won't go into that.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Just be careful.
That probably should have been paper bags, and especially it raining, especially Johnny wet and so forth. But I won't pick at everything.
Yeah.
Placed the gun in a paper bag. Now, they probably should have put the gun in a plastic bag and his hands in paper, but they done this to protect any further destruction of evidence by the rain. That's their words. To protect further destruction of evidence by the rain. The body was covered with a white sheet by the coroner. Detective Johnny Phelps, 1182, picked up the metal flashlight, a black flashlight, serial number 0037700, put it in a brown paper bag. The hood of the car, SP0498, was covered with aluminum blanket to protect evidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in one of those pictures Sheila and I did on a video, Sheila's showing a video, which, by the way, down through here you'll see was taken by Unit 333, KSP Unit 333, which is Gilbert Achardo. And we show a video from the news clipping, and you'll see that silver burn blanket laying on the ground with a flashlight on it.
And something else.
They're trying to cover up where Johnny was laying, or what we assume. But they also said that they put one of those blankets, aluminum blanket, to protect evidence on the car hood, trying to protect those latent prints, those smudge marks.
Mm-hmm.
Instructed them to cover up the tire impressions as much as possible. This person here in this is telling them to cover up the tire impressions as much as possible so they can take a plaster cast or photograph. Trooper Gilbert Achardo, Unit 333, assisted in measuring. He assisted in measuring the crime scene, or the crime scene. I'm not even going to give them the satisfaction of saying a S scene. It's not a S scene. This was a crime scene.
Okay.
This fellow's been murdered.
Yeah.
Trooper Gilbert Achardo videotaped the scene, it says.
Yep.
Rain continued because of Trooper Edrington's body, especially the head, located at the lowest point in the ditch. I decided to move the body to prevent water from possibly building up and covering his head. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm glad they done that. Body was removed by Lowell County Coroner to the funeral home. I instructed Johnny Phelps, 1182, and Larry Lewis, 525, to accompany the body to the funeral home. And that's normal. That's somewhat like the Marines do. Take care of their own and stick with them. The police officers, that's two organizations I belong to, and both of them definitely respect their deceased, especially in the line of duty, killed in. Units have supplemented their own actions. So, you know, this case report's supposed to be hundreds or thousands of pages, because each officer that was there, each person that showed up, anybody that done anything, the lab, everybody's written reports dealing with what they did.
Right.
SP 0498, that's his car, was removed from the scene. Trooper Jimmy Phelps had the car towed to the McLean building that houses Rescue and Fire. It's located on the corner of Carter and Sipple Street. Wayne's Wrecker Service towed the car. Once again, there's Jimmy Phelps' name. So that's why the Phelps twins, rightly so, was so recognizable with this case over the years, because they were there. They worked this case. Now, if anything changes, don't worry. We'll be the first to tell you. But I have a feeling, since the thing at the Post 11 has not been confirmed with Johnny Edrington being into a struggle with anybody,
right,
then it must be the other case. So that's where that rumor came about. And you take some of these rumors and you put them together, and you can falsely accuse people. That's why me and Sheila never accuse without evidence. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's a difference in asking questions and accusing people. Had these people helped us before now, and they didn't help us. They could have done this a long time ago, sat down and met with Fred and Sheila and told us this, told us that. Detective Johnny Phelps removed Johnny Phelps, 1182, removed Edrington's gun belt. The gun belt was placed into a brown paper bag. Items given to lab tech Tom Wintek at Post 11. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was in Ashland, Tom. We used to take our drugs and stuff when we'd make arrests, either to Frankfurt Crime Lab or to Ashland. And I think the Tom we knew, Paul and I, was in Ashland. But
I don't know.
anyway, he works for the crime lab, and the gun belt paper bag. In fact, a lot of the stuff, all the evidence was turned over to Kentucky State Police crime technicians.
Okay.
Detective Larry Lewis, 525, gave me copper jacket from bullet that the coroner had found in the head of Trooper Edrington. He put it in a plastic bag. Why fool with it? Unless trained as a medical examiner. Coroners were elected mostly funeral home directors. That's a question. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the coroner, and I think he's deceased now. But unless this coroner was a doctor and an ME, medical examiner, he was a mortician, a funeral director, limited. When that body was taken there and put in a body bag, it's to be sent to an autopsy.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear in a minute about the powder residue test. But if you're going for an autopsy and you want to send it to a controlled area where they do that for a living, that's the skilled people, that may have given Dr. Huntsinker a different take on this. Had he seen the direction of travel of the bullet? Had he seen the bullet lodged in the back of Johnny's head? You know, we've asked, we said, did the bullet, was it through and through? Yeah. Was it in a tree somewhere? Was it on the ground? Did they find the bullet? Was it still in his head? Well, apparently it was still in his head. And the coroner, again, the coroner may have been a doctor. I don't know if he was, then, you know, so be it. But that's what I'm calling sloppy, because you're sending a man for an autopsy. Why not send him to the professionals? If there's a bullet there, let him take the bullet out where he can photograph it. Were they photographs?
That's what I was going to ask. Did they photograph the position or the placement of where it was at?
And I guarantee they didn't. I guarantee you the funeral director reached in there and pulled the bullet out, and that's it. No direction of travel. Here's your bullet. How do you see that? You can't.
You'll have to turn it around there so they can see it. Yeah.
I was using the microphone for my.
Here's
your bullet. Put this in your plastic bag.
Sorry, contaminated.
Hey, while you're doing that, I think I'm just going to go ahead and take a powder residue test. Why do I want to wait till they get to Frankfurt? I've got this little kit here. I can do this myself.
Does the coroner?
No, the detective. Do stuff like that? The detective done the powder residue test.
Okay.
It says here. I'm going to get to it here in a minute. Why fool with it? Why autopsy? Well, that's why an autopsy was scheduled.
Okay.
Maybe had Huntsinger seen the direction the bullet traveled, it had a different outcome. Where Huntsinger says that he thought it was he went along with Asher and
S.
Well, he didn't go along with all of them because according to this report, William Stewart, detective, titled it murder.
Yeah.
And somebody here is talking all about evidence being covered up and destroyed and everything else, evidence of a crime. Bullet was given to Larry Ayens, lab technician. Detective Lewis also gave me gun residue kit that he had done on the hands of Edrington. Why, if he's going for an autopsy, why did he do a gun residue test at the funeral home if the man's dead? You know, you do a gun residue kit if somebody just shot, somebody's laying here dead, and you're here, and I say, let me see your hands, and I take these little Q-tips, and I run one and put it in a bag. I'll get another one, run it, and put it in a bag. Another one, put it in a bag, seal it up. They're separated, so you don't contaminate. But what if one of those got on the other hand, or you don't have gloves on, or you're handling this hand, there's a way to do it unless you're a technician and you do it regular. I know we're trained in the police academy to do it. And I guess the person wants to, I would have waited myself. And the reason why is because they do two more. They actually do two more gun residue tests. The hands, by then, if they were contaminated with the first one, then the second one and even the third one's still going to be contaminated because you've got powder cross-contamination. I'm not saying that happened. I don't know.
Ooh, good point.
Could have. I would have preferred to let them done it at the autopsy. Maybe that's where a lot of questions and rumors have come from over the years, and that's just because it was some things were sloppy.
Okay.
Let's just say sloppy.
Okay.
They returned to the scene and searched for evidence at 0:57 that morning. Detective Johnny Phillips, 1182, Larry Akins, Lawrence King,
Johnny
Joe
Phillips or Johnny Phelps?
Phelps.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Phelps.
Okay.
Johnny Phelps, 1182, along with these lab technicians, Joe Hayden, KSP Crime Lab. They returned 2.2 mile marker, rephotographed the scene, and searched for evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Tire tracks were gone at this time.
Yep.
That's why they needed a
Plaster thing or the tent.
the tent.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they needed a tent. Any prints were destroyed by the rain.
Yeah.
No latent prints were lifted. Latent print was found on the left side, inside of the car door on SP 0498. They were not Edrington's prints. They compared them with Edrington's prints, and those prints were not Edrington's. They are still unidentified today. Why do that? It's a S side. Remember, it's a S side. So we're over here taking fingerprints, and we've even found in his vehicle an unidentified fingerprint. We got tar marks. We got, maybe there was people stopped to observe or witness to. Lab technician Larry Akins found a cloth fiber, on the front bumper guard. Gunshot residue kit redone twice more at UK Medical Center. First one was done by Detective Larry Lewis. Second one done by Detective Sparks at UK Medical Center. And third one was done by Jane Purcell, KSP Lab. Technology analysis was conducted on blood and urine of Edrington and showed no alcohol or drugs in his system. Autopsy was performed by Dr. Huntsinker. Uniform and clothing worn were submitted to the lab, to the KSP lab. The uniform shirt was one of those items that was submitted to the lab.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, we've asked. We have been told that shirt is now missing. Is that true?
Yeah.
See, we don't know. Is that true? If that's true, that is suspicious. That is, what's up with that? If it's not true, then surely somebody with some authority would want to shut us up and say, hey guys, here's the shirt. Mm-hmm. with today's newspaper, or whatever, with a reputable news reporter or anybody. Mm-hmm. To confirm it, and then we can drop that. See, that's what happens when you don't open a case up after 36 years. People speculate a lot. People guess a lot. You have rumors, mm-hmm. sometimes on innocent people. Mm-hmm. Us too.
Yeah.
Last paragraph on this report brings up possibility of suicide, self-inflicted. The last paragraph. Wow. Overwhelming evidence says that we want to treat, also investigate. That way there could never be any questions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If it was self-inflicted. Also investigate, because where did they find his gun? They found his gun in his left hand. Now he's right-handed.
Yep.
But they found his gun in his left hand, and he's laying back on the ground.
Yeah.
Gun was still in his hand. They were going to seek a equivocal death evaluation at the time. Mm-hmm. And that was from the FBI to see, was there anything about Johnny that would have been S-sidal? There was nothing. From everything we've been told.
It's just a normal day. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Last sentence in the last paragraph.
Okay.
Talks about self-inflicted. Last sentence, last paragraph,
Mhm.
Covers also look at it because he's holding a gun. That would be natural. That would be normal. Let's look at it as that. Somebody put that gun in Johnny's hand.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. The only thing that could look like a S side is the fact that the gun's in his hand. How's he still got the gun in his hand after he just did that? If that was the case, didn't happen. All the evidence, everything that they investigate, hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's okay.
That's all right. Yeah.
This is only for the people that, and hopefully the Phelps brothers watch this, and some of the detectives, if anybody's got anything that you can add to it, we'd appreciate knowing it. If we've left something out or something that you can enlighten us with, we'd appreciate it. Now, maybe you know that we're sincere about saying we don't take sides either way. We're not, this is not political. This is about a young lady's father. This is about grandchildren's grandfather's name. Mm-hmm. If this would have been Jimmy and Johnny Phelps, Larry Lewis, Doug Asher, William Stewart, or any of the other 20-some KSP troopers there that was laying on the side of the road, and this would happen to them, Doug Asher even, we would be doing the same thing. If something's ruled homicide and you have a death certificate and you have all these people that says it, once again, guys, you had undetermined. They could have checked on that box, on that death certificate. They could have checked undetermined. Thanks, babe, because I forgot the other one. Pending. They could have checked pending under further investigation.
Yep.
They didn't check natural. They didn't check accidental. They didn't check suicide. They checked homicide. Now, they had two other options, undetermined
and pending.
This is not a case of S-side. Why a person would want to wait 35 years later and write a book and subject the family members, especially the grandchildren, to that, I don't know. I can't explain it. I can explain this. This was a homicide.
Yeah.
We can.
I agree.
Our feelings.
Our opinion.
Our opinion. Thank you, babe. We always put a disclaimer at the ending of our videos because we're not, again, we didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn last night. I did do this for 40 years.
Yes.
I do have a little bit of experience, but
you do have some knowledge about it. So
we would do the same thing for any of the troopers there. We didn't know Johnny Edrington.
Right.
Know some people today that.
Yep.
But guys, that's it. Sorry the video took so long.
Yeah.
If any of you detectives are still out there, any police officers or troopers or witnesses, and you think of anything else, there was I won't go into it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. You're done, baby.
All right. Thanks, guys. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll catch you on the next one. And God bless.
God bless, guys.
Bye.